Hello and welcome to the third devlog of our open world co-op RPG Wildfall. Starting out today, I'm happy to show you that we managed to do proper mounting and have integrated a slight head bobbing. You can use your weapons from your mount as of now, but we are not sure about keeping that. It feels cool as hell though, so for now we'll allow it. But for balancing purposes, as soon as you get hit, you are forced from your mount and will have a cooldown in the future as well, so you can't just mount up again and yoink away. I then did some animating, and I don't know why, but I don't like animating in Blender. I know you shouldn't animate in Unity, but I just prefer straight up seeing it in-game. And if you are like me in that regards, you have probably encountered this problem here a lot. I never understood why it does that, but apparently it is fixable with this simple trick. Just right click the rotation that's fucking up and choose Quaternions instead of Euler. What the hell? Why isn't that the standard? Why use the other ones? And what do they even do? Anyways, I thought that these elementals were missing something. They were looking kinda sexy already, but they were missing the spark. So I did what every game dev would do. I added particles. I never really used Unity's particle system before, but I heard that it's good from a few sources, so how hard could it be, right? I discovered that I could just spawn the particles in the shape of a skilled mesh renderer, and this is where I went yes. I also learned the difference between particles emitting over time and over distance, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this works with my animations? My innocent brain then went, yes, just make the particles emit over distance, so when the character moves through animations, it should nope. Of course it doesn't work like that. I did some research, and apparently you have to instantiate the particles through code when the animation plays. But that's something for another time. And another dev. Okay, so enemies chasing you with your own animations. Kinda satisfying. But enemies doing that while looking at you through inverse kinematics is even better. I wanted this to be the first thing I code on my own. So I sat down, watched through a lot of tutorials, found an amazing site that explains everything to me in great detail, step by step, so I wrote my first script and, well, who am I kidding? Midway I was wondering why I'm not just copy and pasting the code, since I had no clue what I was doing anyways. So I just joined it and it worked. Well, not really. What was the problem? The usual suspects. Quaternions. God, I hate them. The script always moved the head into a 000 rotation, which doesn't work for this. While writing this, I just noticed applying the rotation in Blender would have fixed this, but oh well. After trying out everything to start the rotation on local coordinates, I found this asset called FastIK, and well, it is just that. I put a script on the head and there we go. We're gonna put an angle constraint on it later, so the head doesn't go full exorcist on us, but for now this is fine. Now onto something pretty cool. We got a little AI going on. As you can see, the goblins patrol in their capsules to random points for random amounts of time, until they encounter a player. They then chase the player, and are able to throw a punch if the player is close enough to them. If you are able to outrun them, they will return into their capsule and continue their life as usual. Also, don't forget to reduce the amount of enemies you place down before you give them the AI. Do you enjoy pain? I don't enjoy pain. Yet I had to go through setting up inverse kinematics for the spider I showed you in the last devlog. By the way, go watch that now please, you probably won't regret it. It had IK already, in Blender. That apparently doesn't mean anything for all Unity. You know what else didn't mean anything for Unity? The third leg bones on every leg of the spider. Unity, why you do this? I double checked everything. I re-imported it multiple times with different settings. Nothing changed. As you can see, the blue bones are the bones that I am able to control in Unity. As you can see in Blender, those bones are there. It worked for the elemental as well. Why not for the spooder? I tried a whole day fixing this shit until I conceded, deleted the rig in Blender and just rigged it again. This time without the IK bones, and apparently Unity approves. Yeah. After setting up a leg rig, the targets and hints on a 2-bone constraint, deleting the leg rig and setting up a chain-link constraint, it works! Finally! Now we only have to move the targets through code and some other magical stuff, and the spooder should be able to walk fully procedurally. We planned on making the first level fully playable for now, so we needed quests, working chests, and a ton of animations. So I went ahead and did those for the NPCs around the campfire. Those being a few idle animations, which are randomly chosen from, a talk animation if you interact with them, a crying animation in case they get a big sad, and an animation for the first quest giver, which also gives us our first weapon. In the meanwhile, Tom made a basic quest system, which was, and I quote, "such a pain in the ass I wanna punch into my monitor." I don't wanna go into too much detail, but to give you a little rundown on what happened, Tom started with the quests by generating quest objects from pre-written JSON files. Converting the JSON files to objects was quite easy, also getting a current quest system to work apparently wasn't that hard. When he started out including the quests in the save states, it truly became a pain in the ass though. Our save states work by mapping every attribute to serializable data types and then writing it to binary files. On deserialization, everything has to be written into objects and such again. And the quests just didn't want to. The arrays couldn't be copied, the rewards didn't want to be read out, and after he was able to fix all this, there was no text showing when loading from a save state, which he tried to fix for hours, but in the end, it just turned out to be a typo. After that, we made the chest spit out the items, which it's choosing from the loot table we're giving it to. Looks cool and prevents from overlapping with the chest collider, so less prone for bugs as well. With the bit of motivation that was left that week, we wanted to round up the first level by making the player not be able to go underwater, since we don't want our player to swim. We just gave the water plane a box collider, which is a trigger, put that a bit below the plane, so the player is allowed to go knee deep in, and if he touches the trigger, the player simply gets teleported to the last saved location, which isn't that trigger. Simple, but does the job. Probably gonna make something fancy with particles later on, so it's not that ugly, or maybe even something completely different, but to get a first playable version going, this was the option we chose for now. Alright, that would be it for that devlog. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really want to say that your support and interest is insane. The first devlog almost reached 600 views already as I'm recording this, and your comments and messages are all super helpful and motivating. Thank you all a ton, and stay tuned for the next devlog.